UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Murphy is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I have the full card breakdown for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, we're going to be breaking down these fights as much as we possibly can, taking a look at betting odds, giving my prediction for them, talking about the fights in general. I am a fight fan who loves to bet on fights. Like I said, guys, timestamps are going to be there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Your time is valuable. Thank you for being here for any of it. Let's get started with the early prelim opener. And one thing I forgot to mention is, sorry for my ridiculous hair right now. I don't know how much it's noticeable, but it's 6 in the morning when I'm recording this earlier in the week, and I just took my dog out for a run, and I ended up having to throw a toucan because there was frost everywhere, okay? So everybody's sleeping. I'm not showering. Let's get started with the first fight. Loma, Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. I actually don't mind this fight. So, Loma, Lookboonmee, we haven't seen either of these girls for a little bit. Istela Nunes is taking this fight on short notice. She was supposed to recently fight on a card that just happened. Something to take into consideration is if she was already cutting weight. I don't know how much she has to cut, so that's just, like I said, something to take into consideration. We haven't seen Istela Nunes in about 2 years, and Loma Lookboonmee's been about a year. She's been looking good. Since she came into the UFC. She ended up fighting some really good opponents in Lupa de Godinez, getting a nice win over Denise Gomez, Elise Reed, whatever you want to make of that one. And then she beat Bruno Brazil, which is also a pretty good record to have over here. And Istela Nunes, 6-5, you know, the record honestly speaks for itself. Losing to anybody who isn't really anything to write home about, okay? Loma Lookboonmee is a Muay Thai striker with decent power for the division. She has good volume, and she does have wrestling in the back pocket. She is very small, sitting at only 5'1", and I don't know if people are still hyping her up to this day, but people were like talking about her being some like huge contender. She is not nearly as good as people say she is, but she is an okay striker with the division, okay? Istela Nunes, on the other hand, she is a kickboxer with fast strikes, and like Loma Lookboonmee, decent power for the division. She thrives when she's on the offensive, and her opponents kind of let her do her thing, and she also has a slight hole in the grappling game. I do not see Loma Lookboonmee going for a takedown in this fight. I don't see either fighter going for a takedown in this fight. I still don't know, and I talked about this when I broke this fight down, whatever it was, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever it happened. I don't know why Istela Nunes has been off so long. Injuries, not a clue. Regardless, while I was just saying that Loma Lookboonmee is not nearly the hyped up prospect as people are making her out to be, I think for this matchup specifically, it is kind of tailor-made for her to win. She's probably going to tee off on Istela Nunes. I don't see her backing up and kind of letting Istela Nunes control the pace. You have to worry about the weight cut for Istela Nunes. You have to worry about her being off for so long. Loma Lookboonmee will probably start teeing off on Istela Nunes, and I imagine that she's going to get a comfortable decision win. Let's get into Odds Jam and see what they have to say over here. And Loma Lookboonmee is a big favorite over here, -400. Honestly, I wish I had more to say about this, but those odds make complete sense. I understand. Loma Lookboonmee is a very, very confident pick of mine. All right, guys, let's continue on to the next fight. The highest level fight that you will ever see in the UFC recently. This is a phenomenal fight over here. We have Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos taking on Talita Problem Child Jake Paul Alencar. This is a fight. This is a fight. What is there to break down, to be honest with you guys? Like, we have Vanessa Demopoulos, who is your typical WMMA fighter. She is okay in, I guess, every department when comparing it to the rest of the division. She can strike, she can kickbox, she can do a little bit of grappling. Doesn't look good really in any fight. Talita Alencar, on the other hand, she is an aggressive BJJ fighter who sucks everywhere else and gasses. The only redeeming quality is she has a good high kick, which is very weird because, like we were just talking about with Loma, she's also very small for the division. She's coming in, she's been in the UFC and somehow ended up getting a win over Rayanne Amanda, and then, of course, lost to Stephanie Lucindo. And she actually, in this fight, she started okay with the striking, but she just couldn't keep up with what the striking was coming back at her. Vanessa Demopoulos, she's had a career of close fights and robberies. Finally, not being saved by a decision. She ended up getting submitted by Jacqueline Amaram in her last fight, and I still don't even think that's anything to really write home about. Like, I know people are getting hyped up on Jacqueline, but take a look at the fighters that she's fought. Nothing exactly to go crazy about. Maybe Maria Oliveira, depending on how you want to look at that one, guys. Vanessa Demopoulos, I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm saying this, guys. I am very confident that Vanessa Demopoulos gets the job done over here. First of all, if it goes to decision, you just know that for some reason, they're going to give it to Vanessa Demopoulos. She's won robberies before. If it goes to a close split decision, they're probably going to give it to her. Talita Alencar, there's nothing about her that makes the UFC go, hey, let's promote her over Vanessa Demopoulos, because Vanessa Demopoulos ends up swinging on a pole. But Talita Alencar, unfortunately, and I don't know how else to say this, guys, because I really don't mean to be disrespectful. She's one of the worst fighters I've ever seen. She really is. And the fact that I am confidently sitting here and saying that Vanessa Demopoulos is probably going to win this fight really says something. My pick is Vanessa Demopoulos, probably one of my more confident picks on the card. So Vanessa Demopoulos is sitting at about a minus 140 favorite. That's something that I am seriously considering playing. Really. Like, I have no faith that Talita Alencar ends up getting the job done. I was shocked that she was able to get her win in the UFC. I was shocked, to be honest with you. But yeah, Vanessa Demopoulos, in my opinion, has this one in the bag. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card over here to a very interesting fight, in my opinion, that being Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. I'll start breaking these two down. I'm excited to watch this because I think it's a little bit of a tough fight to predict, okay? Victor Henry, training under Josh Barnett. He's a decently well-rounded fighter, but primarily a fast and slick striker. He rolls well with his shots, and he's always tough to get a hold of, and that's why, like, honestly, his matchup here with Pedro Falcao is pretty interesting because he is a well-rounded fighter with a ton of experience. He has fought all over the world and trained with many legends. He's trained with Jose Aldo. He's trained with BJ Penn. On the ground, he is always searching for submissions, and he has excellent transitions on the ground. So I know that Victor Henry can fight on the ground. I would imagine that in the striking, it's going to be a little bit competitive. I don't really know who's going to get the one-up on each other. Like, I worry a little bit about Victor Henry, and, like, he can be pretty sloppy. Victor Henry is open to be eating some pretty good shots, and Pedro Falcao certainly has the experience to, like, clip him. But Victor Henry has fought, like, way better UFC competition. We've seen him in one of the toughest divisions of all time for a very long time, and the competition level's been a little bit up and down, but ultimately he has a very strong career, and he's fought better guys. I know he's just talked about Pedro Falcao training with a ton of experience, but Victor Henry has actually, like, been in competition with those experiences. Pedro Falcao finally came to the UFC, ended up losing to Victor Hugo, but it's important to note that he took this fight on, I believe it was 3 days notice, 2 days notice, 5 days notice, something like that, less than a week's notice, and he did very well in the first round of that fight, man, but ultimately, he didn't end up getting the job done, so this is his time to prove himself. It's a tough fight to call. Very tough fight. I know Pedro Falcao will have the ground option to open up there, but like I said, man, Victor Henry's pretty slick. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to explore that ground game, and if he doesn't, if the fight remains on the feet, and that's even saying that Pedro Falcao will want to take the fight to the ground. I don't know if he will. If this fight's on the feet, I think it could be very back and forth. It's really tough. The only reason that I'm leaning towards Victor Henry in this fight, and my pick's going to be Victor Henry, I'm leaning towards him because of the experience. I worry about him being 37 in one of the toughest divisions in combat, or the toughest division in combat sports history. 37-year-olds typically don't get by over here, but this is certainly not a fight to bet on, in my opinion. My pick is going to be Victor Henry very, very slightly. And you can see that Victor Henry's sitting at a minus 145 favorite over there. This one, guys, I think it's too tough to call. I wouldn't bet on this fight at all, but Victor Henry is sitting at the small favorite. I guess I understand why, perhaps like the experience reason that I dove into. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. Another little bit of a tough fight to predict, in my opinion. We have the return of Rhys McKee. For some reason, maybe I'm just crazy, but I thought I heard about him, like, getting cut from the UFC or something. I could be completely just making that up. I don't know. It was surprising to see him on a card. Don't know why. Anyways, he's taking on UFC newcomer Daniel Frunza. Rhys McKee is a guy that I've been talking about in his past fights. Like, hey, this dude, he has something because he changed his name? Did he always have that name, or was it like a nickname that people gave him? People called him the Irish Zombie. We'll talk about it, okay? I'm all over the place with this fight. He is a striker with good range, decent power, and decent speed. When he is able to find his range into the octagon, he excels, but you can't always count on him to do that. He really lives up to the nickname, which I don't recall if it was his actual nickname or if people were just calling him that, but he's been called the Irish Zombie. He can eat an insane amount of shots that would put any fighter out, and he would have no problem just walking back forward towards his opponents. We've seen him in the UFC a couple times now, and against Angelusa, I was like, okay, like, it wasn't an impressive performance, don't get me wrong, but he almost pulled a finish in that fight. He lived up to the name, Irish Zombie. And then I was majorly disappointed against Chidi Njokuani because absolutely nothing happened in this fight. So perhaps, like, the problem is I wasn't, like, overrating him or anything, but I was like, maybe I've been thinking a little too highly of, like, how exciting this guy can be. Regardless, he's taking on Daniel Frunza. I personally have been watching this guy since his LFA days. He is a striker and wrestler with nice pressure, good cardio, and he ends up using that pressure with his cardio, and he has a very good chin behind all of that. So his pressure can really, really turn it on. He likes to utilize pretty good movement, and he does have takedowns in his back pocket if he does need to. He also has shown that he can overcome adversity and be dragged through wars with really good heart. We have seen that performance over on the Contender Series. He looked really good in this fight. It was a really, really tough first round for him. He turned it up. He fought through all the adversity, ended up finding a finish. Like, I really enjoyed from watching what I've seen from this guy. So, Rhys McKee, I always have to question because of how durable the dude is. If he ends up sitting down and finding his range, he can look pretty good. This is another tough fight to pick, guys, but I'm leaning towards Daniel Frunza. I've been a little bit more impressed with him. He's fought some okay competition, like absolutely nothing to write home about, but his couple LFA fights that he's had, they've been okay opponents. He had good performances. Contender series, he looked good. I think that he's going to get past his UFC debut over here. Rhys McKee, I'm gassing him up because he's tough, you know? He has the technique, it's there, but we can't really count on him to show it. I'm going to lean towards Daniel Frunza in this fight, but you got to worry about it, like, if you're ever fighting somebody who just won't go away, that's a toughie, you know? Sometimes that's like demoralizing, and sometimes they can always catch you. And you can see over on Odds Gym over here that Daniel Frunza is sitting at a minus 168 favorite. Again, that makes sense. People are completely 100% like out of the Rhys McKee train. I'm not on the train of Rhys McKee, I think he has a little bit of potential. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to another insanely high-level fight we have over here. We have Dione Barbosa taking on Dione Belbita. Dione Barbosa is somebody that I've been watching for a long time. Like I said, guys, I have been watching her since her LFA days. I meant to say, like I mentioned, as in, like, I watched the LFA. I'm a big fan of that promotion. I've been watching her since the LFA days, and I am glad that she has finally been proved to be overhyped. I've been saying that she's overhyped. I've been saying her grappling is overhyped, and that showed, we'll walk through it. Sorry. We'll walk through it, okay? Dione Barbosa is an okay striker with decent submissions, but those submissions are against unproven talent. She is primarily a grappler and a judo fighter. She's one of the few to actually be able to grind out Karine Silva, which is really the biggest thing that has been in her career. Her BJJ, though, and this is what I've been talking about, her BJJ is insanely overrated. When she's taken down, she can be fairly active off of her back, but that's really the only thing that stands out about what she does. Her wins over the LFA were against very questionable opponents. Like, just look at the records over there. She ended up coming into the UFC with her armbar win over on the Contender Series. And when she fought Ernesta Karakachi, this was a robbery, at the very, very least, a draw. She ended up winning round 1. You could argue that round 1 was a 10-8 round, but Ernesta ended up winning rounds 2 and 3 for sure. And in this fight, she couldn't finish someone who looked like that she couldn't defend any submissions. Her BJJ is overrated. And finally, she ended up fighting Miranda Maverick, where she got out-wrestled for 3 rounds. Some BJJ. Everybody's hyping her up to be like this insane BJJ fighter. Sorry, I don't mean to come off like I'm hating, and I don't hate her. Okay, I really, really don't. It's just like, people gas up her submission skills. I'm like, dude, what have we seen from her? Absolutely nothing. Dione Belbita, on the other hand, she is a decently well-rounded fighter with good volume and good pressure. However, the striking is where the problem lies. It's just not technical. You can find her throwing shots with eyes glued to the ground, just throwing shots like a child, but like, at least it could be aggressive, okay? Dione Belbita, 15-9, having a very, very rough go in her career. Nothing exactly to write home about, and the fact that she lost to Molly McCann the way she did was a really bad look. Both of these fighters are, in my opinion, not the greatest, okay? They're not the greatest, but at least, like, Dione Barbosa has had some moments, against Ernesta Karakachi, who I think is a very good fighter. I can see her taking down Dione Belbita and just working her, to be honest with you. Although, like, I'm not impressed with either of these girls. I am going to pick Dione Barbosa to get the win over here. And Dione Barbosa is sitting at a minus 434 favorite. That's wild. You got to think about it, too. You got to think about it. Like I mentioned, the more promotable fighter in WMMA typically loses. And that's definitely Dione Belbita. But then again, you could say, like, you could have the Vanessa Demopoulos issue. If it goes to a close decision, perhaps they might give it to her. I don't know, man. I don't know. My pick's going to be Dione Barbosa on that one. Now, guys, let's continue on up with the prelims we have over here. Dangerous Davey Grant taking on Daniel Santos. This is a really good fight, and I would imagine this one's going to be pretty exciting. Davey Grant, 39 years old, still proving that he's got it. Davey Grant, he's a decently well-rounded fighter with good volume on the feet and good power behind his shots. He's old, but he still can keep up with the cardio, and he is a very, very scrappy guy. He's 14-7. He's had some ups. He's had some downs. He's fought some really good opponents, and he's had good performances throughout his career. He's one of those fighters that, like, he definitely belongs in the UFC. He definitely belongs in the division, but he's never been the best. Daniel Santos, he is a well-rounded fighter. He can pretty well do it all, to be honest with you, but he does need improvement in most of his skill sets to, like, fight the top contenders. Since he came into the UFC, he ended up losing his first fight, but then he ended up getting a win over John Castaneda and Johnny Munoz Jr. They were good performance. Like, he ended up getting a good KO, but he didn't really live up to the hype, especially against Johnny Munoz Jr., man. Like, I like Daniel Santos. He's a shootbox guy. He's probably going to continue to improve. I don't know, but Davey Grant's pretty scrappy. This is a tough fight. This is certainly a fight that I don't believe you should be betting on. Davey Grant has proved that he really still can keep up with the young guys. The cardio hasn't hit him yet, but on the other side of the coin, we are waiting for the day where Davey Grant actually shows up and he looks old. That day's coming, and especially in the bantamweight division, that's going to hit him really hard when it does. Daniel Santos is also probably going to be improving at a better rate than Davey Grant. Davey Grant seems to be like, okay, we know how good Davey Grant is. I see this fight being scrappy. I see this fight being like a little technically dirty, and I can see both guys coming on top of it. I'm going to lean towards Daniel Santos in this fight. Very, very slightly. Another fight that I do not believe you should be betting on, but for the sake of the video, I am going to be picking Daniel Santos. You can see Daniel Santos sitting at a minus 209 average odds favorite. I really do believe this should be towards a pick 'em, guys. I really, really do believe that. It's a tough fight. I can see it going either way. Daniel Santos is going to be my slight lean. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. I'm personally very excited for this fight. I always get excited for an Ode Osbourne fight. He is taking on Louis Gurule, making his UFC debut. Louis Gurule is a striker and brawler with wrestling in his back pocket. He wants to come forward. He wants to swarm his opponents. He's throwing fast combinations, low kicks, knees. The dude looks to be pretty dangerous. I will say he is very unproven. Very unproven. Before the before the Contender Series, his competition was absolutely nothing to write home about. Nothing. He had a split decision win on the Contender Series. Make that performance of what you will. I just still have questions about where he fits in the UFC. Ode Osbourne, on the other hand, people like to talk about cutting this guy. I think he is a very underrated fighter. I really do. He's 12-8, but guys, with the exception of a couple opponents, like take a look at his last five over here. Tyson Nam, Charles Johnson, Asu Amabayev, Jafel Fialho, which, depending on how you want to look at that one, Ronaldo Rodriguez. This fight could have gone either way, to be honest with you, so he could be coming off of a win. He is a striker with really good power, but unfortunately has one big hole in his game. He can be taken down, and he can be submitted. I don't believe that Louis Gurule will end up doing that. He'll probably want to strike, but that's something always important to note when you're fighting Ode Osbourne. Sometimes he lacks fight IQ, and he showed that in the Ronaldo Rodriguez fight, unfortunately. He was such a better striker, but he's like, hey, I feel like submitting the guy. He is so good on the feet, but he just engages on the ground. He tries to go for submissions, but other than that, when he gets taken down, he can be pretty active off of his back. But just the fight IQ mistakes have been costing him some of these fights, man, because he actually is such a good striker, and I really do believe he has a ton of potential. I really do. In this fight, though, I imagine it's going to remain on the feet. I like Ode Osbourne's power. I like Ode Osbourne's experience. I think that he's taken on way tougher guys than Louis Gurule, and we still have questions about Louis Gurule. I'm not ready to pick him really yet against a guy who's been in there with animals. Ode Osbourne is going to be my pick this time around. I don't know if he gets a finish, but I imagine if this fight's staying on the feet, he can get the job done, and I think it will stay on the feet. Ode Osbourne is going to be my pick. Let's take a look at OzGym, and Ode Osbourne is sitting at an underdog. We have a solid underdog opportunity for you guys this time around. I'm actually feeling good about that. I think this is a fight that Ode Osbourne can absolutely win. But guys, before we move on to the main card, let me stop you for just a second. As you might know, I am a huge fight fan. I watch all the fights. I've been keeping up with these for so long. Plus, I am a fight fan who really likes to bet. If you are interested in seeing exactly what I'm doing with my money every week, or just supporting the channel, you can check out the channel membership in the pinned comment description down below, or right next to the subscribe button. It is very cheap compared to other channels. Every Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, depending on whether or not I want to bet on Friday fights, I'll be uploading a community members post for members and a members only video diving into exactly what I'm doing with my money and why. If you guys are interested again in either seeing where I'm putting my money where my mouth is, or either supporting the channel, I would appreciate you checking that out. Again, it's very cheap compared to other channels. Also, OddsGem is a partner of the channel. The tool that we've been using, it's fantastic. If you're a serious sports bettor with multiple sports books, you can sign up to OddsGem and get a discount using my link in the pinned comment description down below, and using code Clenbat, you can get a discount when signing up for OddsGem. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Let's move on to the main card. And guys, kicking off the main card is a fight that I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen. It should be a good fight, though. We have Robert Venelin taking on Torres Finney, the guy who has been fighting on the Contender Series and finally making his UFC debut. Robert Venelin is a creative striker with good hands and takedowns in his back pocket if he ends up needing to take the fight to the ground. He is very hittable, and he can be sucked into a slugfest, and like I said, he's hittable. His hands are also very low. The dude likes to be creative on the feet. The dude likes to be wild. He wants to put on a show. Torres Finney, on the other hand, he is a strong wrestler with improving hands, but nothing to write home about with the hands. His striking is pretty basic. His game is simple. He holds his opponents with his insane strength and either looks for submissions or a ground and pound TKO. The dude seems to have some freak strength, and that's something to note. Honestly, guys, Torres Finney, we've seen him win on the Contender Series. We've seen him finally get his chance in the UFC, but there's never been a performance where I was like, oh my God, look at this dude. I know with his last performance, like, he punched his way to a stoppage. He looked okay here, but nothing about it's making me go, oh, this guy's going to be a problem. And honestly, same thing for Robert Venelin. He ended up coming to the UFC after fighting a bunch of nobodies. He lost his first fight, but like he did show that he had good grappling at the beginning of the fight, but he somehow out-grappled himself and ended up and got TKO'd with that. It was a little bit of a weird performance over there. I have no clue what's going to happen here. Is the fight going to stay on the feet? Is it going to go to the ground? Not a clue. Robert Venelin, like, I mean, he's shown to have okay grappling, but look what happened last time. I'm going to get on the bottom and get TKO'd. Like, is he going to do that against Torres Finney? We don't know. We don't know. It's a little bit of a tough fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think that it's completely unpredictable. I don't know how either guy's going to perform. I don't know, man. I'm going to pick Torres Finney. For the sake of the video, I think it's about as 50-50s you can get. The dude's really strong. The dude's probably more motivated now that he's actually making his UFC debut. Perhaps that's something to take into consideration. Let's see what OddsJam is saying about this. Torres Finney is sitting at a minus 227 favorite. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Am I wrong here? Let me know what you guys think, because I think this fight's incredibly difficult to predict. Torres Finney is going to be my pick for the sake of the video, but such a low confidence pick over here, guys. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. We have Gerald Mearshart taking on Brad Tavares. This is actually a pretty fun fight. These two are like kind of in the same spots of their career, eh? I think it's a good matchup for the UFC. Let's start with Gerald Mearshart, GM3. He is a grappler with okay boxing on the feet. His game plan is to always take his opponents down and work in his grappling. He has a ton of high-level experience. He's been in there with the best, but unfortunately, at 37 years old in the middleweight division, his age is showing now. His striking recently has been slow, it's been sloppy, and he has been seeming to gas later on in fights. He ended up putting 2 wins together in his career, and like... the competition was okay. Edmund Shabazian, make of what you will with him, but then he really didn't look good just 4 months ago against Reinier de Ridder, and that's because it was a sloppy mess. And the only reason that he had some success is because Ridder was bad. But man, like, I don't know. Like, unfortunately, as much as I love Gerald Mearshart, he seems to be at the tail end of his career. He has taken a lot of damage over the years. He has been through wars with some of the best fighters in the world, so it's understandable that he's slowing down. He's taking on Brad Tavares, who is a good striker who wants to keep things on the feet, and he has incredible takedown defense. He can, if the fight happens to go to the ground, he can absolutely hold his own on the ground. He has a lot of high-level experience. He's very tough. You can never count him to a fight. He's one of those guys. He's 20-10. Do not let his record fool you. He has been in there with the best of the best. Dricus du Plessis, Bruno Silva, Chris Weidman, Gregory Rodriguez, and Jun Yuen Park. Like, all of those fighters were really, really good. And even in his last fight, man, against Jun Yuen Park, I personally gave this to Jun Yuen Park, but I would imagine that, like, it was a close enough fight where the decision could have gone either way, in my opinion. Guys, this matchup, in my opinion, is pretty straightforward. I know that Brad Tavares is also heading towards the end of his career, but Brad Tavares has looked better as of recently, but not necessarily like anything crazy, right? GM3 wants to get it to the ground. Brad Tavares has incredible takedown defense. GM3 no longer has that, like, not that he never really did, like, the explosive, ability to get a takedown. He's been a lot slower recently. Brad Tavares is probably going to be faster in this matchup. He's probably going to chew him up with some light kicks. Gerald Mearshart won't be able to get things to the ground, and Brad Tavares is going to out-kickbox him. Brad Tavares is a confident pick of mine on this card. I hope I'm wrong, though. I am a fan of GM3. I hope he gets the job done, and I cheer for GM3 in pretty well every matchup. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope Gerald Mearshart gets the job done, but I do think that Brad Tavares is going to win the fight. Brad Tavares is sitting at a minus 258 favorite right now. Understandable. I'm very confident that he gets a job done, and honestly, that will make sense. It's one of those matchups, man. All right, guys, let's continue on up the main card. We have Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Martin Bidet. Kennedy Nzechukwu, he is a very, very good fighter that has been moved to the heavyweight division, and he is a good fighter, but I meant to say, like, he's a fighter that's been looking fantastic once he actually got to heavyweight. He is a decently well-rounded fighter. He pretty much relies on power to get him wins. Otherwise, sometimes he can just sit there and barely throw some shots. He has moved up to the heavyweight division for 2 fights now against Chris Barnett and Lucas Bresky, and he shined in both of those performances. He looked much, much better at heavyweight. He was speedy. He was crisp. Like, he would look really, really good. I just don't know how he's going to do at the top of the division, but I think that he's going to destroy the Martin Bidets of the division. Sorry for, like, spoiling my pick over here, but Martin Bidet, he's a big guy who kind of just wants to knock you out. Sometimes low volume, sometimes he has good footwork for heavyweight.
Nothing he's done has impressed me so far, guys. He's put together quite a few wins, but against, like, the competition level isn't that great. And honestly, he went to a split decision with Andrei Arlovsky, who's like, what, 45? Something like that. I don't like it, man. Martin Buday has never impressed me. Kenan Nzechukwu at heavyweight is absolutely impressing me. Before that, he was never impressive, but these 205ers going up to light heavyweight, man. Sorry about my phone, guys. I'm going to mute that right now. These 205ers going up to heavyweight are really, really working out. Like, Kenan Nzechukwu has a speed advantage. He has a, I don't know if he has the power advantage. I don't know. He can certainly knock out Martin Buday, but he looks speedy. He looks crisp. He looks good, man. Kenan Nzechukwu looks way better at heavyweight, and I'm going to pick him to win. Another confident pick of mine is going to be Kennedy Nzechukwu. But sometimes it's important to note, like, if you're betting on this fight, sometimes Kennedy Nzechukwu can just drop the ball. Sometimes he can show up and barely throw anything, okay? Kennedy Nzechukwu is sitting at minus 310 favorite. Again, completely understandable in my opinion. Those are odds that I agree with. My picks that I'm feeling really good about, unfortunately, are really big favorites this time around. All right, guys, let's move on over to the featured fight. And this fight should deliver, man. This fight should deliver. We have Cortavius Romeus taking on Kang Ho Lee. This is a good fight against two prospects where we still have questions exactly where they belong in the UFC, and I like both of their skill level, and I like what we've seen from them so far. So Cortavius Romeus is a well-rounded fighter with explosive shots and a finisher in all aspects of MMA. He's not afraid to get into a slugfest and absolutely can fight technically as well. He also has a really, really good heart. He's 9-3 so far. Nothing spectacular has necessarily come from his career. He came into the UFC after the Contender Series, ended up getting a loss to Gaston Bolonis, which it was honestly, like, this was an extremely, extremely tough fight on both ends. All aspects of MMA were shown in this fight. Cardio held up, had a ton of heart, and it was one of those fights where it was like, it was a shame that somebody had to lose that fight. So I'm excited for the future of Cortavius Romeus, but I don't know exactly where he belongs in the UFC. And honestly, I'm kind of feeling the same way about Kang Ho Lee, because we have seen just a limited amount of, like, decent opponents from him. He came to the UFC, got the Long Jiao fight, which was one of the fights that could have gone either way, to be honest with you. Both fights, just like I was talking about with the last fight that Romeus had, both fighters showed a very, very nice skill set in this fight. He's a grappler with sneaky good kicks, great in the clinch, has some really nice powerful knees. He has incredible cardio, incredible heart, and he wants to be known as the Korean Khabib. So far, I wouldn't necessarily deem him to be that, but hey, I can only hope for the best. If somebody has like big goals like that, that's pretty cool. So, guys, I think that these are two fighters that are on the rise right now that are very tough, have shown good skill sets so far. It's a really, really tough fight to predict. Like, if there's been a few fights on this card, guys, where there's a ton of fights that's difficult to predict. I'm going to lean towards Cortavius Romeus. I liked him in his last fight a little bit more, against a better opponent too, I would say. I don't know, man. Like, it's a really, really tough fight to pick. I just got to lean towards, like, okay, you know what? Maybe he impressed me a little bit more in his last fight, but this fight could go either way. There is a lot of good fights to deliver on this card. Guys, man, I'm so disappointed because I'm probably going to miss this card. It's my daughter's birthday, and obviously she's going to be the focus of the day. I might have to sneak some fights at night, and I never miss a UFC card, dude. I'm disappointed. Very, very disappointed, but of course, family first always, right? Let's continue on over to OddsJam to see what the odds are saying. Kang Ho Lee is sitting at about minus 174 favorite. Again, I kind of understand where people are coming from. He looks to be great. I wouldn't count out Cortavius Romeus at all. Odds are kind of close. Kind of makes sense. And guys, before we continue on to the co-main and the main event, as you might know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. If you are interested in other content we push out, not only on this channel, we push out content every single day, so like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. I'm glad to have you here. But we post content daily on other channels. We have Clen, which is about Fortnite and gaming. We have Clenema, which is movie, TV show, anime show reviews. And we have Clenday, which is a variety content. And then ClenClipsDaily, which is just funny stream clips, things like that. I would love to have you guys over in any of the channels. You can check it out, the link tree at the top of the description, or you can scroll down to find the direct links also in the description down below. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Let's get into the co-main event. All right, guys, let's move on to the co-main event. Joe Anderson Brito's taking on Pat Sabatini. If you guys have been following the channel, you might know that I am very high on Joe Anderson Brito. I enjoy watching this dude fight. The violence that's on display, man. This is going to be a good fight. Every time Joe Anderson Brito's here, I have a good time with it. Joe Anderson Brito is a very tough grappler with heavy pressure and amazing submissions. On the feet, sometimes he can lack technique, but the dude tries to just kill you. He has insane leg kicks. He's one of those really violent guys who really comes in and just tries to really hurt his opponents. He does a great job doing so, and he looks like, I don't know if he necessarily enjoys the violence, but he's just a violent man. He's a dangerous man, okay? He has been on a roll in the UFC up until he ended up fighting William Gomez, which this fight could have gone either way. I personally edged it to Gomez just a little bit, but there's really nothing to note over there with that loss. Like, it was a fantastic, absolutely brutal war. No stock loss from Joy Anderson Brito. I am still very high on the guy. Pat Sabatini, on the other hand, is also a very dangerous grappler who is always live for a submission. He's always looking for the finish, and he has brutal, precise ground and pound when he chooses to use it. When he uses the ground and pound, he uses both his elbows and his hands. He mixes it up very well. The dude, he has some serious skill, and like on the feet, he has some decent stand-up to back that up as well, but obviously he is dangerous on the ground. So, is this fight going to end up on the ground? Sometimes when you have two grapplers, they end up on the feet. I think if this fight ends up on the feet, Joy Anderson Brito is more violent and more capable, little bit more technical, although both guys could use some work on their technique. I think that Joy Anderson Brito would just kind of bully Pat Sabatini on the feet. On the ground's a question. Pat Sabatini is fantastic on the ground, and he is always live for a submission. Always. The possibility to catch Joy Anderson Brito is there, but I just can't see it. I see if these two go to the ground, Pat Sabatini trying to be a little bit technical, trying to find submissions, Joy Anderson Brito just like pounding his way out of anything. That's kind of how I'm looking at this matchup. I think it's one of those matchups that is just kind of made for Joy Anderson Brito to win, man. Joy Anderson Brito is going to be my pick. I don't think that Pat Sabatini is going to offer any sort of resistance to anything that Joy Anderson Brito is going to come and do. Also, if you guys have been following the channel, you might know that there are a select few number of guys that I almost just want to bet on because you know that they'll fight for your money. You know they're going to go in there and they're going to try their hardest every single time that they're out there. Joy Anderson Brito is one of those guys. I'm undecided, and I'm recording this video the week before you're actually seeing it, before the card that recently happened. I'm almost there with Christian Rodriguez, and I still haven't decided whether or not I want to bet on him. But there's guys that, like, you just know they're going to try their hardest. They're going to fight hard for your money. So I almost just want to bet on him. Chape Mariscal, one of those guys. Joshua Van, one of those guys. Christian Rodriguez, maybe. Joy Anderson Brito is also one of those guys. I have been saying that I'll keep betting on Joy Anderson Brito until the wheels fall off the train. The wheels, they didn't necessarily fall off the train yet. I was very happy with that performance by William Gomez. It was a very close fight. So I am highly considering and probably will bet on Joy Anderson Brito in this fight. I like him, and I think it's a fantastic matchup. Let's check it out on OddsJam. Minus 220 favorite for Joy Anderson Brito. I think that's fair. I think those are good odds, to be honest with you. I like Joy Anderson Brito a lot in this matchup, and he's going to be my pick. All right, guys, let's move on over to the main event. We have Josh Emmett taking on Lerone Murphy. It's been a long time since we've seen Josh Emmett, over a year ago, and that was the knockout against Bryce Mitchell. So, honestly, I hate doing this on main events, guys, but there is not necessarily too much to break down with this fight. Josh Emmett is a well-rounded fighter who just uses his boxing. He looks to walk forward, swing giant overhands, and knock people out with his insane power. He has good heart, good cardio, and good durability. So, Josh Emmett, though, is 40 years old. How long is he going to be able to keep it up for? I don't think that he's looked too great in recent years. He's been, relatively inactive. Like, the Calvin Kattar fight, he absolutely lost. Got destroyed by Yair Rodriguez. Got beyond destroyed by Ilia Topuria. Then got a really quick knockout against Bryce Mitchell. We didn't really get to see him perform that much. Lerone Murphy, on the other hand, is a very strong and good striker with good movement, cardio, and power. He's very elusive, has one hell of a jab. I don't know if we want to call it a hole in Lerone Murphy's game, but he can be taken down and he can be held. So Josh Emmett just decided to utilize his wrestling for once in his life. Maybe he can actually take down Lerone Murphy, but we can't trust him to do that. Lerone Murphy has looked not quite perfect, but he's had some very, very good performances in the octagon so far, and he just struggled against Dan Ige just a little bit, and that's where we're talking about, like, he can be taken down, he can be held, and it was a really, really close fight. I actually personally thought Ige won, but it wasn't enough to complain. But Lerone Murphy, man, the way that I see it, he's going to have to fight somebody clear step above Dan Ige, and I do not believe that's Josh Emmett. He's going to need to fight somebody who can utilize the groundwork. I'm not sure that Emmett's going to do that. Other than that, Lerone Murphy is probably just going to pick Josh Emmett apart. I see it being a 5-round, nice kickboxing match and a very clear Lerone Murphy decision. I'm confident in saying that. Josh Emmett's almost 40 years old. I don't think this matchup's really favoring him in this. So Lerone Murphy is going to be my pick. I wish I could dive into that a little bit more for you guys, but the fight seemed pretty straightforward to me. Lerone Murphy sitting at a minus 275 favorite. I wouldn't argue with that at all. It sucks, man. My confident picks were the favorites this time around. I only think that I picked a couple of underdogs. Oh well, what can you do? Guys, this card's going to be fantastic. Let me know what you think about all of the fights down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch some more MMA content from us, then check out this video on screen right now. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care.